Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Sir,
Okay.
couple of minutes. I will wait
No
for
problem.
sir to join. Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Reddy.
How are you, sir? Sorry, I could just some technical this video. I'll switch on whenever the network
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. No problem. No problem.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
as we can start program. Everybody join.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Our Dr. Nanjesh has joined.
Nanjesh sir has joined, sir.
Okay, now we can start. No, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, yes. Yes, sir. We can start,
Okay.
sir. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening to all the participants for this webinar, Advanced Technologies for the Futuristic of Fighter Aircraft. I have a great pleasure to welcome on behalf of IEI Karnataka State Center and on my chairman's behalf M. Lakshmana, our Dr. Amitabh Saraf, District Dr. D. Madhu, and also our today's program convener, Dr. Namjesh, and all other participants who are and also who are viewing on the YouTube. YouTube. I know that Karnataka State Center is organizing webinars, seminars, 1-day seminar, 2-day seminars, and all inventions. And today being a National Technology Day, we are celebrating National Technology Day by inviting one of the most sought of Indian product developed indigenously, that light combat aircraft, and especially in all the versions. And our project director is in the naval version Mark II Chief Technologist. So with this again, I welcome Dr. Amitabh Saraf sir for taking your time and joining our agreed to address the program. With this brief welcome address, now I request our coordinator Dr. Nanjesh to introduce about the speaker and also tell about the program on National Technology Day. Thank you, and thank you very much. I am Under Secretary Dr. Rangareddy, Karnataka State Center. Thank you all.
Yeah, good evening all. It's my proud privilege to introduce such a great personality that Amitabh Saraf sir. Amitabh sir, Amitabh having more than 30 years of experience in the design of control systems, guidance and navigation system, sensor data processing, and redundancy management. Systems and layers for LCA Navy. Presently heading Directorate of Integrated Flight Control Systems for development of flight control systems for futuristic Indian fighter aircraft. Presently is also heading the Directorate for Design and Development of Twin Engine Deck-Based Fighter, that is TDBF aircraft for Indian Navy. Previously, he had headed the Directorate of Advanced Technology Development, responsible for development of numerous advanced technologies for aerospace applications. He has done his postdoctoral fellowship from the University of California in the year 2003 and a PhD from IISc Bangalore from Aerospace Engineering Department and MTech by IIT Bombay and BTech from IIT Bombay. He has received many awards and recognition in his field. That is Professor Satish Dhawan Young Engineer Award by Karnataka State Government in 2019. Agni Award for Excellence in Self-Reliance by Ministry of Defense as a team award for design of armament systems for LCA in 2015. And Agni Award for Excellence in Self-Reliance by Ministry of Defense as a team award for the design of air data computer for LCA in 2012. And Swarna Jayanti Award given by Aeronautical Society of India for excellent contribution to design of aerospace and airborne system in 2008. Bagai Young Scientist of the Year 2007 Gold Medal given by Rotary Club Bangalore South for outstanding contribution to aerospace engineering. Technology Shield from National Aerospace Laboratories for outstanding achievement in LCA, CLAW design, the certification and successful flight test 2001 as a member of National CLAW team. PS Narayana Medal for Best PhD Thesis in Mechanical Sciences from IISc Bangalore for the year 2001. Savita Chaudhary Medal for Best PhD Thesis in Aerospace Engineering, IISc Bangalore for 2001. DRDO National Science Day Award for contribution to science of flight mechanics for 2001. DRDO Technological Award for the year 1994 with Dr. Girish Deodare. So I welcome you, sir, and please proceed with your webinar. So we are eager to hear from you. Thank you, sir. Maybe my voice is not clearly audible because it is raining heavily in Chikmagalur. Sorry for that misconvenience. It's over to you, sir.
Now I request our distinguished scientist and project director, Dr. Amitabh Saraf sir, to address us. Sir, please, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be amongst you all on this very important day, the National Technology Day that we are celebrating together. And special thanks to Institutional Engineers for giving me an opportunity to be here with you all today. And the topic that I thought would be of interest, because we're talking about new technologies, I thought I should talk to you a little bit about the kind of work we do. You're already aware of the LCA program. It has really made all of us very proud that we are now in amongst the few nations which has this capability of building the entirely the kind of high class airplane that we have built. So I'll talk a little bit about that, plus the various new programs that my organization is undertaking. I'll introduce all that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the advanced technologies. From what I came to know is that lots of students also will be already joining, or who are joining in some time. So I thought I'll also talk about AI is a very hot field these days. So I thought I'll give a little bit about how we intend to include AI into our aircraft program. In what way artificial intelligence is going to play a big role in the technologies that we are trying to develop. So I'll share my presentation with you. Just one second. Okay, so if somebody can just confirm to me that you can see the slides.
Yes, sir, we are able to see.
Yes.
All right. So good evening again to everyone present. I'll be talking about advanced technologies for futuristic Indian fighter aircraft. I had two different directorates in Aeronautical Development Agency. I'm looking at the LC Navy Mark II program. I'm the project director there. Plus, I'm also the technology director for the entire development of the flight control systems for different fighter aircraft program. So the fighter aircraft programs that we have undertaken in India, most of you would be aware of LCA, the single engine 4+ generation lightweight fighter aircraft, which is now into the service. Squadrons are operating, two squadrons are operating with these light combat aircraft, also known as Tejas. It's upgraded version, which is known as the LCA Air Force Mark II. This also is a single engine airplane, but it's a medium weight category. I'll talk about what kind of extra capability this Air Force Mark II has. People who are keeping track of the way the developments are happening, this is also a sanctioned project, and we are working full-fledged into that, and soon enough the design will be ready and the aircraft will be rolled out. The next program, which is a little more adventurous, is the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, known as AMCA. This is a twin-engine aircraft, which is a stealthy fighter. It's a much more it's a bigger airplane with more capability, and this also I'll explain to you what in what way it is different and what kind of new technologies have gone into it. And then finally, I talk about the program which I am leading, which is the twin-engine deck-based fighter. This is a naval airplane version. It's again a twin-engine aircraft, primarily meant to be operated from the new carriers that we have, the Vikramaditya, the Vikrant, and the Navy is also thinking about procuring one more carrier, which will be completely dedicated to be operated along with TED-BF. So I start about LCA. It's a fourth generation fighter aircraft. It is already inducted into Indian Air Force. We are operating 2 squadrons of that. It has digital fly-by-wire flight control systems, which was actually a new thing when I had joined this program way back in 1990s, early 90s. We really had no clue how to actually go about doing designing of fly-by-wire aircraft, and this was the first time where we learned the whole thing, and now we have taken it to the level that it's become a product which is used by the Air Force. It has a full glass cockpit, so excellent visibility. Pilots can look around and see any, the overall visibility is very good. As you can see in, for example, this is the trainer variant in which excellent visibility is available. It's a full glass cockpit. Extensive use of carbon fiber composites we do. Essentially, 3 variants are there. This is the single-seater variant. And then we have the trainer variant, which is 2-seater. So you can see 2 pilots operating. This is the trainer variant. And then we have the interesting program, which is the LCA Navy program. In this case, you can see it landing on the carriers. So Tejas by itself is a fairly mature platform. We have done almost 5,000 flight sorties without any major incident or accident. We did the initial operational clearance, which is when we gave the aircraft to the squadrons to operate and give us a feedback on the aircraft capabilities and which are the initial where all there are initial gaps which need to be filled up. So we got very good inputs from the Indian Air Force through this initial operational clearance. After that, we did the final operational clearance in which all the technologies that we wanted to put in to the aircraft were given. And the first squadron was made in 2016 with the IOC capability. And then the second aircraft squadron was made in 2020 with the full operational capability. As you already know, we have participated in numerous air shows, not just within our country, but abroad also. And it has also performed very creditably in several Indian Air Force exercises like Gagan Shakti, Vayu Shakti, etc. We have integrated a large number of missiles, bombs, and different types of stores. So here you can see a composite image of pictures with the air-to-ground bombs being dropped from LCA, the beyond visual range missile firing, and it also has the capability of doing air-to-air refueling. So all this is now available in the Tejas platform. I'll just show a small video. I hope you can hear the audio of the same as well. Just 1 second. So this is the Derby missile firing. This is the R-73 missile, which is a close combat missile. Then we have these flares, which is for self-protection. So all these shafts and flares. This is the LGB bomb which was dropped. 1,000-pound bombs. In case of emergency jettisoning, everything can be dropped. This is during the air-to-air refueling. This is the aircraft operating from Leh, which is the highest operational airfield that our country has. In fact, in the whole world, this is the highest operational airfield. Okay, so that was briefly about the LCA program. Through this program, see what has happened is before LCA, we had done very few aircraft developments in our country. There was one program called as HF-24 Marut, which was way back in 60s and 70s, and beyond that, we never actually did our own aircraft development. So this LCA has given us a wonderful opportunity to develop self-reliance in several technologies related to aviation. We are now able to do aerodynamic design of very high performance unstable aircraft. We have been able to prove through LCA that it is possible to build an aircraft like that and fly. We can do our own fly-by-wire flight control development. We can develop the algorithms. We can develop the software and the hardware for doing the fly-by-wire technology. The avionics is very advanced here. Here again, all the algorithms, software, computers, everything is indigenous. We are able to, develop that avionics right from scratch. We are able to design aircraft with composite structures, which makes the aircraft very light. So this structural technology, airframe technology, was also developed as part of LCA. We designed the computer controlled electrical and mechanical systems. Lots of mechanical systems exist on the aircraft, which can be computer controlled, and that is what we have achieved here. What exactly is the meaning of flight testing of modern prototype aircraft? That also is a technology which has developed over more than a decade that we have been flying this aircraft. How do we actually make it something which user wants and has that capability? And also a large number of test facilities have been developed for design and qualification of these technologies through the LCA program that we have given. Now, what happened is, as we started evaluating, there was a realization that we are actually operating Mirage 2000, which has a much more capability compared to the Mark 1 program that we have, and that's because the missions that it is designed for, the concept that was evolved, that it has to be a lightweight category. It is more of the class of Gripen and F-16. However, Mirage is a bigger airplane. It has a bigger capability. So we have to graduate from the Air Force Mark 1 program to Air Force Mark 2 program, which is heavier. It is much more capable. And then as we are reaching the end of life for Mirage 2000 aircraft, we need to have our own indigenous aircraft program to handle all the capabilities that Air Force desires. It has very highly advanced sensor capabilities, which I'll talk about in a slide further. It has enhanced range and endurance, much more internal fuel. It has the in-flight refueling capability. It has an onboard oxygen generation system, which allows the aircraft to fly for very long periods of time. The weapon carry capacity is much higher. And it can also carry these heavy standoff weapons whose utility you already know. For example, during the Balakot strike, we used Spice 2000 kind of weapons. So this capability is not there in Mark 1 because it's a smaller airplane. These heavy standoff weapons are actually heavy, much bigger in size. So the aircraft had to be redesigned so that we can carry these weapons. The status of this program is that the configuration is frozen. The system architecture has been finalized. We have done the critical design review. and the detailed design, the design drawings are also ready. So it's ready for production. Actually start for this program. This Air Force Mark II got evolved from the LCA Mark I program that we had, uh, that was done earlier. We have now graduated to a program. As you can see, scale wise, it's a much bigger aircraft, and has much higher capability. So you say that here all of it was only 13.5 tons, has gone to 17.5 tons. So it's a 4 tons heavier aircraft in terms of the capability. So what we could carry as 3.5 tons of payload has gone up to 6.5 tons. The internal fuel has gone up significantly. It's a bigger aircraft, so it has a much larger range and much more capability in terms of weapon carriage. Right. So this is the way the Air Force Mark II program has come about. In addition, there are lots of advanced features in Air Force Mark II, which doesn't exist in Mirage, because Mirage is a pretty old airplane. So we have lots of new sensors that we have added here. The radar is much more capable. It's called as an enhanced AESA radar, which is integrated into Air Force Mark II. We have a new sensor called as infrared search and track, which is like a IR camera with a enhanced capability of tracking any, even the stealth fighters. It can, for some extent, track its movement. Then we have the missile approach warning system, which is again a new system that we are integrating. We have the unified internal electronic warfare suite, by which it's possible to know if somebody is tracking our aircraft, and we can jam through this electronic warfare suite. Then this is the onboard oxygen generating system, which I talked about. The engine is a higher thrust engine. We have a 414 engine now getting integrated into Mark II. So like this, it has a very advanced cockpit with smart, large area display, smart HUD, side stick. So it's a fairly modern cockpit which has been made for the Mark II program. The next thing which is interesting is the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or AMCA. So this is again, we need to continuously keep developing so that we go to more recent technologies. We had done the 4+ generation aircraft. We had to graduate to the next 5th generation airplane. And that's what this aircraft is. You can clearly see that it is designed for keeping the stealth in mind. So it's a very stealthy airplane. It has something called as an internal weapon bay. What the picture which you're seeing is looking at the aircraft from down, in which weapons can be carried inside the weapon bay, so that the radar cross section becomes very small. It has something called as a DSI intake. It has used lots of places. It has used this radar observing structures. So if radar is illuminating our aircraft, it will not reflect, but absorb these EM waves that are being received by the aircraft. It's being developed in 2 phases. Mark I is with the existing engines that we have, and AMCA Mark II, which will have advanced engines, so will have more capability in that time. Current status is here again. Configuration is frozen. We have the CDR of this almost ready, and we are very close to flying that. Okay, so AMCA specifications is it has very low RCS. It has the length is about 17 meters, much more capable. Wingspan about 11 meters, 4.5 meter height, much higher wing area. And as you saw, it has much, as compared to Air Force Mark II, you can carry much more fuel here, and much more payload can also be carried in this case. Okay, so it can fly in both ways. It has stealthy as well as non-stealthy configurations. In stealthy configurations, the weapons are hidden inside the belly of the airplane. Whereas in the non-stealthy configurations, we still has lots of stations on which external bombs and drop tanks and missiles can be carried. So these two were the Air Force programs that we are undertaking. The next one is about the naval combat aircraft development. So this is the LCA Navy. We currently have two naval prototype aircraft. You might have heard NP1 and NP2. But there's one more prototype which is coming up to do more testing of this airplane on different facilities that we have. We created a unique shore-based test facility at Goa, which I'll talk about a little bit. On this, the challenge of a naval aircraft is it should take off from a ski jump and it should land on a carrier and get engaged with the arrestor wire. So this was first done. See, whenever naval aircraft has to be made, we cannot actually take it straight to the ship. First, we have to prove that it is compatible with operations on the carrier. So accordingly, on this facility, we did the first ski jump in 2014. Then after that, we have done 400 high secret landings at the shore-based test facility. Numerous taxi-in engagements were conducted, and the first arrestor landing was accomplished on the 13th September 2019. And here you can actually see the aircraft taking off from the ski jump. This is in the Goa airport. And it is also getting arrested by the arresting gear system in the facility that we have. So how this naval aircraft is very different from the Air Force variants, the same LCA variant, the baseline LCA variant. So we have added some new control surfaces. This is called as a LEFCON, which is put in this place of the aircraft. It has capabilities of operating from the ski jumps. It has special landing gear so that because most of the times when the aircraft comes and lands on the carrier, it lands at a pretty high sink rate. So new landing gears had to be designed, and accordingly, we had to make a lot of changes in the structure of the aircraft to handle the large loads that get generated when the aircraft lands on the carrier. We have a arrestor hook for deck recovery. I'll show you a small video which shows how this arrested landing happens on the facility that we have. So this is the shore-based test facility, which was created in Goa specifically as a part of this aircraft program. So what you see here is the main Goa airport terminal. This is the main runway, and along that there was a taxiway which we have sort of hijacked, and we built a facility here which is for the landing. So what you actually see here is very much like the carrier deck that we have, and the aircraft can come and land. There are two arrestor gears which have been placed here. So the aircraft can come and land here and get arrested with the arresting gear system. What you have here is the ski jump. So the aircraft lines up here, and the full reheat is given, and the aircraft takes off from the ski jump here. So a little more zoomed views, you can see that this is the replica of the deck where we do the arrested landing. The whole telemetry facility is somewhere here by which we monitor all the data of the aircraft when it comes into land. And this is where the ski jump is. And beyond that is, of course, sea. So this is the landing area. Actually, you can see two arresting wires which are here on which the arrestments happen during practice trials. And this is a closer view of the ski jump, and you can see there is a sea right in front. So the aircraft takes off, it actually goes over the sea from here. Right, so this entire facility known as the shore-based test facility was created by us so that the naval aircraft that we build, we can actually test them and prove that they are worthy of being taken to the carrier. And the good part is the other aircraft that we have also get tested on this facility. So it's a Navy facility created by ADA. So as far as operations on the carrier, LC Navy landed on INS Vikramaditya on 11 Jan 2020. And interestingly, within 5 days, we did 18 takeoffs and landings on the carrier. And we demonstrated that it's possible to operate the aircraft from the carrier. So here you see the picture of LCA landing on the Vikramaditya and taking off from Vikramaditya. The interesting part is we have also operated from the INS Vikrant, which is the latest carrier that we have. And we have done lots of landings and takeoffs on INS Vikrant in this year only. And again, the aircraft has proven its merit in terms of demonstrating all the technologies which are needed to operate the aircraft from carriers. Okay, I'll just show you a brief video of journey of naval LCA for INS Vikramaditya. So all this is in the facility that we have, the shore-based test facility. So it's a slow motion of aircraft landing on shore-based test facility and catching the wire. This is a night landing. This is the aircraft taking off from the ski jump. Much better view of takeoff from the ski jump. As you can see, this was on a very overcast condition with strong crosswinds for landing, for the takeoff. This was during the initial phases where we were gathering the data of the first arrested landing on INS Vikramaditya. Another view of landing. And the last one was, of course, taking off from the ship deck. That was on Vikramaditya. And similar exercises have been done also at the new carrier that we have, the INS Vikrant. Okay, so once we did all this, we demonstrated to Indian Navy that we have ADA has a capability to design aircraft which are compatible to be operated from Indian carriers. So this gave a lot of confidence to Indian Navy that they said that yes, this was a good technology demonstrator. Now let's start building an airplane which can fulfill all the requirements of various missions that need to be carried out from the carriers. So what actually came about was what is known as the twin engine deck based fighter, or TED-BF. It is a medium weight fighter. The idea is that over a period of time, when the MiG-29Ks finish their life, we must have a capability within our country to operate and build and fly these carriers. So here the all-up weight is about 26 tons. This still continues to be a stow-bar variant, which means we do a takeoff from the ski jumps, but do the arrested landings. And idea is to operate both from INS Vikramaditya and ISC-1 and the new carrier that we are trying to build once more. So since this is again a twin engine aircraft, so it has a much higher capability. It can carry more weapons. It can carry lots of missiles and operate for a long period of time. Essentially do all the missions which can be which have been envisaged from the Indian carriers. One new technology that we have also worked upon is what is known as the wing folding, because The real estate is at a premium inside a carrier and on the deck. So folding these wings gives a lot of comfort to people who are operating on the carriers, as well as moving the aircraft from the hangar deck, which is below, to the upper deck through the small lifts which are there on these carriers. So that the wing folding is something which is very important, and we are incorporating that in our TEDBF design. Okay, so this was about the various aircraft programs which ADA is has taken up. We have made a lot of progress in the Air Force Mark II program and the AMCA program. They passed the critical design review phases, whereas the TEDBF program, which is the third one, is now in that phase where we are doing the preliminary design reviews. And idea is to start building this airplane from the next year onwards, and maybe if everything works out well, maybe do the first flight in 2026. That is what we are aiming. So now this was about the aircraft programs. Now I just talk about a few advanced technologies that have come about, which really make these fighter aircraft much more than something which can carry weapons and do drops. It's the complexities of the missions that we carry out need these advanced technologies, so that the aircraft is much more capable and missions can be carried out with ease. So these are known as the fifth and sixth generation technologies. The main technologies, which are, first one is the stealth, where the aircraft can actually get hidden from enemy radars, both from on ground as well as from in air. Then it needs an advanced sensor suite. I briefly mentioned it earlier, but I'll talk about it again, of how this advanced sensor suite actually increases the capability of the airplane to a large extent. Then we come to a concept known as the electronic pilot. And this is something which I will focus on primarily, and to give you an idea about how artificial intelligence is getting incorporated in the new aircraft programs that we are developing. There is another concept which is known as optional manning and automatic takeoff and landing. Now, this is something which again ADA has taken up to a large extent. The same Navy aircraft are also being equipped with these technologies, where the aircraft can be taken off automatically. It can perform its missions and come back and land. So that's why it is called as optional manning. It's not necessary that the aircraft has to be operated by a pilot sitting there, but it can perform its missions autonomously. And the last technology, which is also very interesting, is called as the man-unmanned teaming, where one aircraft flies along with several drones, and together they become the full fighter suite which is required to carry out missions. And this is again something which ADA is earnestly working towards, to build the man-unmanned teaming capability within the LCA Mark I program itself, so that it can seamlessly get integrated into the new aircraft programs that we are working on. So my focus of the remaining time that I have is on this electronic pilot concept that we are working on. So to understand the electronic pilot part, first I just give a brief overview on the complexities of missions that are carried out on fighter aircraft. And when we talk about a multi-role aircraft, it is a single aircraft which can carry out different types of missions, which actually in the previous generations, you would have different aircraft to carry out these different types of missions. But we now have a capability to make one single aircraft carry out all these different types of missions. The air-to-air combat, which is the most glamorous of them all, where there is a dogfight that happens, or our aircraft fights with enemy aircraft, whether in the visual range or beyond visual range. So essentially, it requires the aircraft to go and do something called as a patrolling mission. And in case there are enemy aircraft that are available, then it actually fights with them and comes back and lands. The second type of mission, which is very important, is called as SEAD missions. The air defense missions, the air defense capability which enemy has, by which it can track our aircraft and attack our aircraft through surface to air missiles. So it's necessary to, when the wars happen, it's necessary to know where these air defense sites are, and we need to go and strike them, uh, basically neutralize them, so that the missions then thereafter can be carried out with ease. So this is the SEAD mission which has to be carried out. Tactical strike missions, for example, the Balakot strike that we did. Reconnaissance missions, where aircraft go and do a reconnaissance of the area in which missions need to be carried out. And also close air support, which is for various land-based forces that we have, how we can provide good support to them. Now, each of these missions actually require different types of mission profiles and different capabilities. Like, for example, this kind of a mission, which is a weapon drop mission, where the aircraft takes off from our territory, goes to the tactical area, loiters around, identifies the targets, comes down, goes a very low-level flight to escape the enemy radars, does the weapon drops, and then recovers back on its way back. So these are the type of missions that the aircraft are built with these missions in mind, so that the capability can be given to the Indian Air Force. So typically what happens in mission, if you look at mission timelines, what happens is this is our own territory. This is, let's say, a tactical area, and then own territory. So the aircraft takes off, it does cruise, enters into the tactical area. All the time it needs to make sure that it can protect itself from enemy aircraft, from surface to air missiles and things like that. So self-protection has to be there all the way through. He should be aware of the situation as it keeps evolving. As he gets new pictures on the radar through his sensors, he starts seeing different kinds of things. So he needs to be aware of what is happening. Then he should be able to identify targets, and after recognizing the targets, actually engaging these targets, neutralizing these targets, and then get away and cruise and come back and land in the own territory. All this has to be done while ensuring that there is no terrain collision or in-air collision with any other entity which is airborne, and the flight safety has to be ensured all the way through. So this is the way missions typically are carried out. So the way the pilot and aircraft actually interact during these different missions is what is shown through something called as OODA loop, which is observe, orient, decide, and act. The way this whole concept works is, if you look at the aircraft, it consists of various sensors through which the targets are identified. The information from these sensors are displayed to the pilot in the cockpit through tactical situation displays. It has several self-protection systems, and through the head-up display, head-down display, and so on. So whatever information which is gathered of these outside entities is picked up by these sensors and displayed through these various displays which are available in the cockpit. So this side is the aircraft, and what we have this side is the model of a pilot. The mission that the pilot needs to carry out is in his mind. He knows, where he's going, what exactly are the kind of things he's going to see on the way, and how will he actually carry out this mission. So all that intelligence of the pilot sits in his brain. He's given a good orientation before a mission is carried out. How he's going to fly, which are the other people who are going to fly with him, what are the roles that various aircraft will do in a squadron attack that happens. So all that information is first given to the pilot. The information which is received during flying through all this display system, pilot needs to continuously observe or monitor what is happening. Then based upon what he observes, he has to do a situation assessment. This is called as the orientation part. The next comes the decision-making phase, in which he takes a decision of what needs to be done, and then finally performs the actions. Right. So all this is part of what pilot actually does, and then the actions that he does are conveyed to the aircraft using flight control systems, using various sensor controls or the weapons that he deploys. And the output of that actually goes and meets with the real world and its entities. So this is the way there is a continuous interaction that happens between the aircraft and the pilot during missions that he carries out. His workload is essentially, he has to ensure the flight safety. He has to ensure that the aircraft can do survival during these combats. At the same time, the missions. It could be an air-to-air mission, it could be an air-to-ground mission, or whatever specific tasks that have been assigned to the pilot. Right. So this is the workload that he has. So this is a very interesting cartoon which says, the kind of things that pilot has to continuously think about as he is flying the aircraft. So his mental state basically is, in terms of what are the engagement rules that he needs to follow. How does he manage the wingman? How does he interact with the wingman? Wingman is the other aircraft which is also flying along with him and supporting in the mission. Continuously, he has to worry about he should not hit anything because that could lead to destruction of the airplane. There's a lot of radio chatter that happens continuously, people talking, he has to listen and then pick out the relevant information from that radio. There could be radar warning, receiver warnings, missile warnings, which could be, continuously coming to the pilot, and he needs to take the right actions. Then in terms of looking out for the targets, he has to identify whether this target is on data links, so different aircraft flying and passing on information from one airplane to another one. So he has to identify from all these tracks which is the target which is of interest to him, and how does he carry out the attack. And then at the same time, there are a lot of threats to worry about: bullets, missiles, radiation, contamination, and so on. So actually, when the missions are carried out, a pilot is really stressed. It's one of the highest levels of stresses that a human being can undergo when he's carrying out missions in tactical areas. So there is a clear need that something else should be available, some intelligence should be incorporated in our aircraft so that it can help the pilot in execution of these missions and make sure that the aircraft survives in the missions. So that's why the concept of electronic pilot has come about. The basic idea is to reduce the workload of pilot in a dynamic and uncertain environment. He should be able to achieve better performance and adapt to both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. More accurate responses to changes in the environment and failures of onboard systems. See, as the mission is being carried out, whatever is briefed, things may not happen according to that. The situation outside may change, and inside also, if there are some systems, for example, which undergo a failure, he should be able to take good response in these changing scenarios. So for that, some kind of an intelligence, if it is incorporated, it's going to be very helpful. Then EP in its advanced form can actually enable autonomous operations. So if you remember, I was talking about initially that we want to make these aircraft have a capability of optional manning. So initially, this EP actually helps simplify pilots' tasks. As pilots gain confidence that yes, it has the right kind of decision-making capability, then it is possible to actually hand over the entire flying of the airplane also to the pilots, and his role can be minimized. Or it could become an optional manning situation where the entire missions are carried out by the electronic pilot. So now I'll talk about various modules that electronic pilot needs, and all these actually require extensive deployment of AI-based algorithms, and some of that we will discuss quickly in this talk. So let's now talk about, as you saw on the previous slide, we talked about a pilot model, which is observe, assess the situations, or orient, take the right decisions, and do the actions. So electronic pilot can actually help in all these parts of the pilot's thinking process. And for each of them, there could be several modules that can be created which help simplify the tasks that pilot has to undertake. So let's look at the first one. This is the observe part. So in the observe part, I have broken them down into three different concepts that we are working on. So I'll initially start with this concept called as information fusion, right? So again, let's look at the advanced sensor suite, which all the modern aircraft now are carrying. There is a radar which is called as a low probability of intercept radar, right? So this is a high class radar in which it operates only when necessary to get information that is sought, and it remains silent for most of the time. Very advanced radars are now being developed in our country, and they will be incorporated in the AMCA program, in the Air Force Mark II program, as well as TEDBF that is being made. So this is a primary sensor which helps identify targets and then track these targets. Then there is a concept which is the infrared search and track. This is also a very popular sensor that is available in the modern aircraft, and we are developing our own sensors which are in this infrared range, both for searching as well as for tracking. Then there are sensors which are electronic warfare sensors, primarily the radar warning receivers. So if any other aircraft or any ground-based system is tracking our aircraft, the system says that you are under threat and take a preventive action based upon the information which is being received. This is known as the radar warning receiver. It also has a missile approach warning system. When a missile is, for example, launched against our aircraft, it gives advanced information that missile is approaching and an appropriate action should be taken to protect the aircraft and the pilot himself. This in addition to data links and software defined radios. So data links, of course, are, it's not necessary that the targets that you see in front are need to be tracked only by you. If there is a big man or if there are some unmanned drones which are flying along with you, it's possible to track the targets and they send the information to our aircraft, and based upon that we can take decisions. So now you see there are lots of these avionics sensors which are incorporated on this aircraft. Now what happens is because of this data flowing in from all different directions to the pilot, it becomes quite disorienting very quickly. So the ranges are different. So we have the radar in front, IRST is typically in front. Then the information of the missile approach warning system or the RWR, which is all around the aircraft. Then the data links which are coming from different aircraft which are flying along with our aircraft. So then typically what happens is, if you look at the tactical page which is displayed to the pilot, it's possible that he sees multiple targets which are coming here, which are, they're not homogeneous because each sensor has its own capability, each sensor has its own, errors which are there. So it may become a very cluttered scenario where where the single target is actually seen multiple times. So to avoid this confusion of whether it's the same set of measurement or different targets, it's necessary to take up this concept called as information fusion, where all this information is put together and an intelligence is built to actually say that all this clutter is actually of the same target, right? So this information fusion is something which is absolutely important in the modern fighter aircraft, and this forms something called as a electronic pilot, which uses this module known as the information fusion module. So it ends up producing a much better tactical picture. The other advantage is it's possible to complement sensors through this fusion algorithms, where let's say radar, for example, which is very accurate in range but not so accurate in angles, and IRST, which is very accurate in angles but not so good in terms of ranging. So then it's possible to merge this information together and identify the targets in a fused manner, which becomes more accurate both in terms of ranging as well as in terms of angular positioning. right? So this concept is being worked upon by us. We have developed several of these algorithms which are now getting incorporated into our simulation setup. So we are building a simulation environment of multiple tactical situations. We are integrating these sensor models for target track generation, and then validation of models using sensor data from flight tests. Right. Finally, developing track fusion algorithms and demonstrating the accuracy of the target which is tracked in an integrated simulation environment. So these are the various algorithms that we are working on together, and this is progressed quite well. We are now in a prototyping stage where the algorithms are being implemented in the simulation setup, and then after that would be actually incorporated on the onboard the aircraft. Coming to the next one, which is again easy to understand, where AI plays a very interesting role. This is called as the automatic target recognition. So since the aircraft has multiple sensors, at a point of time, it's possible to get again, multiple pictures from the optical sensors, from the IR sensors, from the synthetic aperture radar. Lots of images or videos get generated. So again, there is a need that there has to be an AI-based algorithm running which can pick out targets from these complex set of images which are available. So this is again something which we have taken very seriously. The progress which is happening is we are making tools by which we can annotate objects of relevance, preparation of a database of these annotated objects, and then training and validating machine learning algorithms for the automatic. We'll have onboard algorithms which can look at these pictures which are obtained from different sensors, merge the pictures together and identify the targets very precisely. So the various objects of interest are, runways, taxi tracks, hangars, air traffic control towers, aircraft, helicopters, different types of buildings. For example, when we're doing a, specific attack has to be done in, in the enemy territory, then it's possible to identify different types of buildings, different types of transmission towers, power lines, mountains, trees, tree canopies, and so on and so forth. Essentially, it requires collation of lots of images, doing the annotation, and then implementation of AI techniques for the automatic target recognition. Okay. The third part, which I talk about again in observation, is known as a combined vision system. So this is also a very interesting topic. When the aircraft normally operate in poor visibility, it becomes very difficult for pilots to know what is going on, where exactly is he, where is the runway for landing, where is the target that he needs to approach. So for that, there is a concept known as synthetic vision, where what we do is the entire terrain information is captured in the form of the databases which are available on board. And when the pilot is actually looking out through his HUD, he can see this terrain through a gridded image. So these grid lines actually help him orient of where the terrain is. And at the same time, it's possible to overlay symbologies which help pilot to actually reach the runway. For example, that you can see here, there's a tunnel type of thing which is made, and a pilot can actually go through this tunnel and end up achieving a target that he wants to take, or landing back on the runway. Even if there is a very, very poor visibility, it's possible to operate the aircraft in such conditions when this synthetic vision system is incorporated in the aircraft. So this is how, so that was one part that is called as a synthetic vision system. There is also a concept known as an enhanced vision, where it's possible to display the IR images of outside world through his head-up display or on his helmet-mounted display. And this is known as enhanced vision. So even in pitch dark night, even if the lights are very poor, it's possible to see the world through the IR images. And then there is a concept called as a combined vision, where the synthetic terrain and the IR images can be merged together, and it's possible for the aircraft to, the information to be displayed to the pilot, and he can perform his missions quite well. So this also we made a lot of progress. Now it is already getting integrated into our simulator, and after that we'll go on to the LCA Mark 1 aircraft itself, where we'll demonstrate that it's possible to have this kind of capability. So this was about the observation part. Likewise, we have several other modules, like for example in the orientation, where pilot can do a combat identification. If multiple targets are displayed, then it's possible to understand what are the various targets of interest through. So this is specifically for air-to-air combat, where there could be several aircraft which are flying around, helicopters flying around. Which are the targets which are of interest to us can be identified through this algorithm known as combat identification. And this again is an AI-based algorithm that is being developed. The other modules which are of interest are in the decision part, where let's say the electronic warfare decision support system. This decision support system is a completely AI-based concept, where when the information is received from the electronic warfare suite, pilot has to do he has multiple choices. He could either deploy his shafts, which is to confuse missiles or radars which are tracking it. Then it's possible to use flares, which is for creating an IR signature which can confuse IR based missiles, or he could use jamming actively to jam the radars and things like that. So under what situation, which is the best thing that can be done, this is a task which is well suited for an AI based system to help pilot. Similarly, there is a concept called as a dynamic route planning, which is when the missions are being carried out and there is a continuously evolving scenario, which is the best route that he should take to fulfill the mission, at the same time protect itself. This is also something like that traveling salesman problem, or latest AI methods which are available to optimize the routes so that mission can be accomplished properly. Actually, I have details of all this, but I see that I'm actually running out of time, so I'll not get into too much detail, but it'll give you a flavor for what are the kind of activities that need to be carried out in the mission, so that we can implement the best possible AI techniques to resolve the problems which are faced by the pilot. Here in the ACT part, he has to continuously work for the real activity that a pilot gets engaged in during these tactical missions when he's entering the tactical area is so how to operate these sensors can also be automated depending upon what pilot has in mind, and this is again an AI application that has to go onto the aircraft. One part is the protecting the aircraft itself during the decision support system which I was talking about. So in fact, the system can automatically choose when the aircraft should launch its shafts, when it should launch its flares, and when it should do an active jamming of the radar which is tracking it. So all this can be automated. This is the ACT part. And similarly, there's an automatic collision avoidance, which is in case the aircraft is entering a place where the terrain is high. So the system automatically takes decision that beyond a particular altitude, the aircraft should not go, and it should recover, in case pilot is disoriented. So all these are actually modules which are very important. And when we say electronic pilot, all these modules have to be developed so that it helps the pilots during the various in the mission that he's carrying out, in the various tasks that he has to do during the missions. So where the dynamic planner helps, where does a EW decision support system helps, how does target identification, automatic target recognition helps. So all these are modules which are built so that this entire task of carrying out this mission becomes simple, and the system automatically helps pilot to take the right kind of decisions in the tactical situation. Right. So this is in a nutshell what we mean by electronic pilot and the various modules that need to be developed to ease the workload of the pilot. And so what I have written here are all these things that are in this orange, of the modules of the electronic pilot, where we are extensively using AI-based algorithms, and we are able to, fulfill the electronic pilot needs. Okay, so I think with that, I sort of come to the end of my talk. I sincerely acknowledge, this Vic Commander Siddharth Singh, who's our test pilot. He's part of the national. Visualize this whole thing, and we are now in the process to fill the overall requirements for the electronic pilot. So thank you very much. With that, I come to the end of my presentation, and in case there are any questions or any doubts which people have, I'm ready to take up. Okay, so I conclude my presentation.
Yeah, Amitabh, nice talk. This is Radhakant here.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I have a genuine curiosity all the time. So the question is this AI-based techniques are never to be 100% error-free, right? So what the pilot would have otherwise done, AI may actually sometimes kind of disturb the decision. So what's your comment on that?
Yeah, it's a thing which has to be developed over a period of time. We are now in the process where the setup has been created, where these algorithms are now getting, and we need to develop them and test them. I think the only way out, like all other systems, is how well do you test these systems, and under different scenarios that you create in the simulation, how well can you prove that it is able to meet all the requirements, and there is nothing else that we can do right now. Of course, there are theoretically a lot of people are talking about AI which can be validated and verified, but it's going to take time. We are still in the early phases.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, so I think AI should be used judiciously rather than putting it everywhere. That we.
That is true. That is true.
All right, carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If there is no question, so I request Ravi, Senior DGM retired, to propose vote of thanks.
Good evening to all the participants. On this auspicious occasion of the National Technology Day 2023, we are privileged to have a webinar on the topic Advanced Technologies for Futuristic Indian Fighter Aircraft. We are immensely thankful to Dr. Amitabh Saraf, sir, Project Director, LCA, Navy Mark II, and Technology Director, IFCS ADA, for his impressive, interesting, and informative talk on the topic of national importance in view of our nation's defense. Thank you, sir. We are greatly privileged to listen to you with the excellent video clippings which you have shown us. Profound thanks to Sri Lakshmana Sir, Chairman, Institution of Engineers, Karnataka State Center, and Dr. N.T. Rangareddy, Honorary Secretary, for their constant encouragement and motivation in spearheading this program and various activities. Our profound thanks to Engineer Nanjesh BR, convener for the program and organizing the program and introducing the chief guest of this talk and briefing about the subject of the speech. Sincere thanks to our corporate members and committee members who have taken their time and joined this lecture online. Our profound thanks to all the participants and other invitees for having joined and witnessed this lecture online and on YouTube too. Our thanks to the staff of IEI Karnataka State Center for having made the logistic arrangement for this online talk. Thanks one and all. We have an interesting online lecture next Wednesday, 17th May 2023, on the occasion of the World Telecommunication Day and Information Technology Day. The details of the program will be sent to you shortly. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks to all of you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amitabh sir. Thank you, Ravi sir. Thank you all. Thank you for sparing your time and attending the program. Now, thank you very much to everybody. Ayush, you can close the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.